Welcome to Foundation Friday. The dedication and covenant of silent unity was signed on December 7th, 1892 by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, founders of the Unity movement. It is unlikely when they signed this covenant that they had any idea how far-reaching unity would be as it evolved into the church we know and love today. We invite you to join us as we explore and share some of the original ideas, teachings, and writings of the men and women who created the foundation of the Unity Church.
Hi, thank you for joining us today at Foundation Friday. So today we are doing the backstory of Agnes Sanford. This is a minister personally I had not heard of, and I'm going to share with you this article where I found her that talks about her backstory. I have to tell you, I kind of fell a little in love with this woman, and you're going to hear more from her again if you tune in to Foundation Friday. So this article came from truthunity.net. And if you aren't aware of that website, I highly invite you to investigate. Anything you want to know about Unity is right there. A rich history, stories, books available to you on PDF or online. Okay, enough of a commercial. The name of this story is, or the name of this article, What If Mainline Christianity Had Been Open to Spiritual Healing? Interesting thought, isn't it? Kind of a weird way to start a backstory, but stay with me. Have you ever wondered how things might be different today if mainline Christian churches had not rejected Unity's theology and practice of physical healing through prayer? Let's imagine that the religious establishment in the early 1930s had recognized how widespread the spiritual healing movement had become and that it had been willing to change. What would unity look like today, and how would the mainline Christian churches be different? Have you ever thought of that? Back to the article. In broad terms, unity would have remained tethered to the creeds and doctrines of the historic Christian church. In other words, Charles Fillmore would have enforced what he called the Jesus Christ standard throughout unity. The standard that he enforced might have been a creative and irregular form of historic doctrine, but the irregularity would have been tempered by his desire to see unity recognized and accepted as a member of the body of Christ. The mainline churches would have been open to the innovation of scientific Christianity. In other words, they would have been willing to change their doctrines to align with the testing of spirits. Innovative theologies and practices, such as spiritual healing through prayer, would have been judged in the same manner as scientific discoveries. If it had worked and it was discerned to be godlike, then the authoritative teaching of the church would change. Of course, none of this happened. 40 years into Unity's history, Unity and its practice of spiritual healing had been entirely rejected by mainline Christianity. Charles Fillmore, pressured by those who had been trained in spiritual healing, began the formal training and ordination of Unity ministers. A significant number of those ministers then walked away from the historic creeds and doctrines of mainline Christianity and embraced a more universal theology that embraced all world religions. How might we find out? But what had it not been so? How would unity and mainline Christianity be different today? To find out, we must look for a time when the mainline Christian church was open to unity theology and practice of spiritual healing. It turns out that there really was such a time. It was 1947 when Agnes Sanford, our heroine, wrote The Healing Light. Reading Agnes Sanford's classic book and learning some of her personal story provides a clear illustration of what unity and mainline Christianity would have looked like if they had not parted ways in the 1930s. Agnes Sanford was the wife of an Episcopal priest and became mainline Christianity's most influential teacher of spiritual healing in the 20th century. Anyone who reads The Healing Light will recognize unity theology and practice throughout the book. Her study and adoption of unity teaching is widely acknowledged by those who knew her. Furthermore, she writes in her chapter on intercession. Some of those in convents and monasteries pray with continual fervor and with great benefit to themselves and to the world, but with little or no actual healing results to the sick and sorrowing who ask their prayers. They have learned to rise unto God, but they have not learned to sink again into man. They reach a high state of religious contemplation, and there they stay. But their prayers for healing are less effective than their prayers of unity and other modern schools of prayer, because they have not learned how to project the power of God into the being of man. Unfortunately, this credit to unity was removed and revised in the 1972 edition of The Healing Light. By then, Agnes Sanford had moved on from unity. So if you buy the book, be sure to buy the original edition published in 1947. The revised edition has been sanitized to make it more acceptable to critics of unity, and critics of Agnes Sanford's adaptation of unity teachings. So there's the backstory on Agnes Sanford. Now, at the website truthunity.net, where I found this article, I found a link to the original book that Agnes wrote. And I have downloaded it on PDF. I invite you to do the same. I am reading The Healing Light and enjoying it very much. So stand by. I'm sure we're going to have another Foundation Friday donated to Agnes Sanford. Thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know what you think of the backstory series and of Agnes herself. We read and respond to every comment. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaste.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.